If we make it through December. It became one of Merle Haggard's trademark songs. The second verse features a heartbreaking fiddle line that makes use of the lower registers in a way that it was obviously written for viola or five-string. This video teaches the original part, but also gives some adaptations in case your instrument doesn't have that lower C string. I'm Ruth Rowland, the Fiddle Geek. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more country fiddle parts. This song is in the key of C, which is the just plain letter name notes, no sharps, no flats. But it does have a lot of B flats in it. So we're going to warm up on the C Be-Bop Scale, which is basically just the C scale with a B flat plugged in where it goes alphabetically. I'm going to demonstrate it for you to show you how it goes. An interesting thing about the bebop scales is that strong beats outline the major minor chord. The strong beats of the C major scale outline a different chord, what's more exotic, but the bebop scale outlines the major minor chord, which is very useful. So if you don't have a C string, just wait till I get to the G string and then join in for that part of the bebop scale. And we're going to do each octave separately. We're going to do two 2-beat bows on each note. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Second octave, starting on this middle C, the third finger on the G string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now we're going to do 5 notes. Yeah, 5 notes of the upper octave starting on the second finger on the A string. And if you don't have an E string, you can just skip this part. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play. So that's the C Be-Bop scale. If you're confident with those finger spacings, let's move forward. Otherwise, go back and watch it again and pay attention to where your second fingers go. If you have an E string, also pay attention to where your first fingers go. On to the actual fiddle part. This is the second verse. Got laid off down at the factory. Gorgeous. Let's start on that second bar, which can be simplified to just 3 notes. B, C, B. Okay, and the C is decorated by tapping the next higher finger. Ready, play. Got it? Moving backwards, we're going to add on the 3 notes that came before this. Yes, so that started on the note F, which is 3 fingers on the C string. If you don't have a C string, just go back and forth between A, the first finger on the G string, and C, the third finger on the G string. So we have something that sounds like this. Right? So either one will work. Or you could play the whole thing an octave up. In which case, your third finger is going to be doing that little decorative touch. And the whole thing starts on open D. That D is found on the C string. Right? We haven't added that in yet to the 5-string part, but yes, if we play it on the G string, right, that fourth finger needs to be pretty well in tune. I'm recording a video about that. I'll link it below. If you have an electric violin with a pedal that allows you to sound an octave lower, that's perfect for this piece. Because I do prefer, I really love that rich, low sound. Okay, going on. Okay, so we're starting here. Our goal note is the third finger on the D string, but we're ramping on up to it, starting on the first finger, right, with a little going back and forth between E and F, and ending on G. After we hit the G, we're going skipping down the chord. We want to end on the second finger on the C string, but before that it's all 1s and 3s, and then back to the E, and then ending on the note E as well. So here's an E, and there's an E. Good. So if you don't have a C string, that will allow you to stay in the lower part of the tune, the lower register. If you want to take the whole thing up an octave so you can play all those notes, right? Or if you have a pedal that allows you to sound an octave lower, right? Or, all right, beautiful. The recording seems like it's all separate bows, just down and up and down and up, but you might find it easier to slur some of the notes, play 2 notes on one bow. It's just up to you, whatever feels comfortable, whatever you like the sound of. All right, so let's learn those notes. The first note is that C on the G string that we're so familiar with, 3 fingers. Ready, play. Okay, and starting on that second note, you do hear how those 2 notes sound like cousins. That's because this is an A and this is an A. Right? Ready, play. Good. Starting again on that second note, that A. Ready, play. And now adding the C back in. Ready, and play. And starting there on that note, the second finger on the D string, D, E, F. That's an F. So we go from the F to the note C, which maybe recognize how many fingers it is on the G string. If you remember. Ready, play. Let's put that whole bit together. Ready, play. Good. Now let's just add the ending. Ready, play. Can you hear it? Let's go back to the F here. Ready, play. Good. Now all the way back to the beginning of this phrase starts on C, on the G string. Ready and play. Yes. Good. Now we dip down to the C string for another note, one more note. Okay. It's that E, that second finger on the C string. And we act like we're going to play the second finger on the G string, and then at the last second we decide to put our third finger down as well, just to have a little grace note effect. And there we have the B flat. So from, and the B flat. Good. So that whole thing. Ready and play. So if you don't have a C string, I recommend just leaving the low E off and adding that time to your G. Ready and play. And this part isn't so fussy with bowings. If you want to slur, that might make it even more mournful. So this whole opening, I'm going to play the 5-string part, and if you're doing the octave up, you can play along with that too. And then I'll play the adapted low violin part, the 4-string part. And now for the adapted violin part. Okay, I left the grace note off there, but there you have it. So the last phrase also has a little fill to end the verse. This fill doesn't use the C string. This fill repeats some of the rhythms that we had earlier. but it has slightly different notes. Specifically here, this F natural, and then we have a B natural, which we usually play with our second finger. But I don't know if you could hear right then. Sometimes it makes a little noise. I'll exaggerate it for you. Did you hear the D string note coming in? Is why it's risky to use the same finger on two different strings in two different places. If you're going straight across the string, it's easier. You could just roll, but F natural and B natural are diagonally across the string from each other. If you try to roll diagonally, like you would if it were straight across the string, you get a sometimes unattractive slide. Yeah, a little extra noise there. I like to use the next finger higher. There's no reason not to. And then when I can slide in a much more musically suitable place, I can slide up to the C. So this whole bit starts on the note A on the G string. Let's just play that little scale up from open D and then experiment with what we want to do. Hop our finger over, slide our finger over, or use the third finger. Ready, play. And then the first note of this little bit is A on the G string, G, A. Slide up. And then we end. Okay, just going down, but using the B flat instead of the B natural. C and B are right next to each other. We're going to use B flat on the way down the scale. Ready, play. Good. So that whole end of the second verse. There is also fiddle in the tag, and the last three notes are very prominent. So I'm going to go ahead and teach you the tag. It starts on this D on the C string. So that's an instance where we do, since we're going straight across the string, we can roll our finger. Ready and play. And then the same ending as we had before. And you can slur or not slur, just the last four notes. Ready, play. And the entire tag. Ready and play. If you don't have a C string, you can go down to that B instead of up. Right? So it's almost straight down the scale. We skipped the first finger. We skipped an E. And then the same last four notes. If you'd like a more cheerful holiday tune, watch this next. See you there.